Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Bix Weir, roadtoroad.com. Probably one of the most significant things in silver that could possibly happen has happened. Nobody has talked about this because they don't understand the game. It's got nothing about interest rates, nothing about anything. The price of silver is all about the COMEX derivative market. That literally, China is building more solar panels than the human mind can even imagine. 500-600 million ounces of silver this year. I don't care what the Silver Institute says, they're wrong. And nothing affects the price of silver. Why is that? Because the COMEX, the futures and options derivative market, is what controls the price of zero, period. If you want the price of silver to go over $50, shut down the COMEX. It'll instantly do that. And we just had an announcement that I've been talking about this for 3 or 4 years now. The massive JP lease of over 1 billion ounces of silver, after they got, quote, busted, supposedly, for rigging the gold and silver markets, they went out and they weren't allowed to dump the silver, so they leased the silver. Over 1 billion ounces of silver, and it can be seen in the quarterly derivative reports at the OCC. And then they tried to hide that. So let me walk you through why it's so, what's going on right now with that lease. Leases come to an end after a while. You can roll them over as long as you want, and at some point you're going to have to pay the piper. Now's the time to pay the piper. Let me show you what I'm talking about. First of all, silver price down. It's been hovering around $30. These leases went on when silver was between $20 and $25. First, let's talk about this guy. Warren Buffett, Bank of America Dumpathon. Near $7 billion as questions swirl as to why. There is no question in my mind. I have said for a very, very long time, Buffett is one of the good guys. He tried to take down the banking cabal back in the late 90s when he bought 130 million ounces. He was the recipient of the lease. JP Morgan leased it to Bank of America, which did a structured deal with Warren Buffett. That's my take. And what did Warren Buffett pay? Buffett said, hey, your stock's about to crater. You're in deep trouble, Bank of America. Do this structured deal. It'll help you out. It'll get you cash up front. And JP Morgan won't be able to dump the silver onto the market. And, oh, by the way, Berkshire Hathaway will end up with that silver. And maybe he's doing it for the U.S. government. I don't know. But I knew it from day one that was going on. Why did I know it? Because the way Buffett was buying the stock of Bank of America, and you can see it right here, Buffett started buying right in here. Right when you see Bank of America stock drop from $35 down below $20, and everybody was freaking out. And this is the first quarter, after the first quarter of 2020. Now, what else happened after the first quarter of 2020? Right here. This is the end of the first quarter. Bank of America, right here. This is the quarterly derivative report. So if Bank of America leased silver from JP Morgan, they are required by law to report it in the OCC derivative portion. And they called it, the category was precious metals, all maturities. Now, this does not include gold. Gold's up here in the FX, or at least it used to be. I know it gets a little squirrely, but this is so important that Buffett is literally dumping the old way to do business with the silver lease. So Bank of America had nothing right here. JP Morgan obviously was the big silver rigger with $29 billion of silver. That's over 1 billion ounces they had. And then Citibank was probably a short position. Who knows? Citibank never takes delivery on the COMEX, by the way. So that's some kind of structured deal behind the scenes. I don't know how that one works. But look what happened the second quarter. So that's the first quarter of 2020. Look what happened the second quarter of 2020. Bang. Bank of America adds $2.7 billion in silver shorts. And everybody's like, what in the world is going on? That kept going on and going on and going on. ultimately, till December of 2021, they ended up with 27 billion. That's over 1 billion ounces of silver in this lease program from JP Morgan. And if you look at what happened next, so this is December 2021, right? December 2021, Ted Butler says, it's more serious than I thought. This is Ted exposing further, we had been talking about it for a very long time, the JP Morgan lease position to Bank of America. And he goes through and it's like, holy shit, it's up to $800 million and moving. And this is before that report came out. So Ted Butler, God rest his soul, exposed them back in December of 2021. So what happened? So you have the report that came out in 2020. You have the report, 2021. Where am I now? You had this report, December of 2021. This comes out. It's obvious. It's obvious. And that when that report, it was over. These reports don't come out till a little later. So it was over a billion ounces right here at 27. The price of silver was just under, I think around 25. So it's like 1.1 billion ounces Bank of America had leased from JP Morgan. So that was a problem. So what did the OCC do? They changed how it was reported. Back here, you could tell, right up here, they used to report gold and foreign exchange derivatives in the same bucket. It was all the same. So this started, so everybody could see that Bank of America built this gigantic silver short position or long position. It's a derivative position. And it's, oh my God, and it kept going higher. And that's when they changed this report. So Bank of America, if you can see that JP Morgan here went from $28 billion to $330 billion. What happened is they added gold to this and they took it away from the foreign exchange right here. They kind of announced it, not really. But Bank of America only had $2 billion in foreign exchange. So they went from 27 to 29. So it didn't look like Bank of America changed much. That's only because what I think they're doing is swapping out gold derivatives for silver derivatives, basically to hide it. And who did it? This is what happened right here. It made the chart go crazy. Everyone's like, oh my God, look at the silver derivatives chart. Well, that's silver and gold now. And why did they do it? This guy did it. Greg Coleman, the senior deputy comptroller for large bank supervision, an ex-JP Morgan guy. And I remember at the time he did it, I looked him up. I looked up who was in charge of this reporting. I looked up his background. Yeah, he's JP Morgan. But there was a different picture. It was a picture of him like 20 years younger in this. And I was laughing. Look at this guy. He's like a little kid. A week later, they changed his picture to his actual picture. You can't make this shit up. It's insane. So back to why it's so important now. So here's where Buffett started buying, right in the second quarter or so of 2020. He started buying BofA because he said, hey, Bank of America, do this lease structure deal. I will not only invest in your company, I'll tell everybody I'm doing it, and I'll put a hell of a lot of money into your company, Bank of America. I'll say you're the best bank out there. And they weren't, by the way. But what you're going to have to do for me is lease this silver from JP Morgan, put the derivatives on your book, and give me the real thing. It's crazy. But now what's happening? This report saying Warren Buffett's dump of BofA nears $7 billion as questions swirl as to why. He's unwinding the derivative position. The physical silver is gone. In the latest round of transactions disclosed in the regulatory filing Thursday, his Berkshire Hathaway had liquidated $760 million of stock since Tuesday. Now he's roughly at 11% of the total value. When he gets under 10%, he doesn't have to tell anybody. He doesn't have to. That's when he really starts dumping. And that's when he gets out by the time serious action happens in silver for JP or for us. He's unwinding the lease of the Bank of America silver lease from JP Morgan to Bank of America. Bank of America has they don't need the silver. What they needed was money. and they needed a better reputation. That's why Buffett invested in them. Right down here, literally a bank stock dropping in one quarter from 35 down below 20 is a huge, massive problem. And you can see it happen right here. It went from $35 right here down to 1967. And that's when Buffett came in and said, hey, I'll save your ass. He started announcing, I'm buying Bank of America stock. It's the best stock, blah, blah, blah. So now the reverse of that, it's the worst stock. I'm 100% positive this has to do with the silver lease from JP Morgan being over in some way or form. By the time Buffett gets completely out of Bank of America stock, I think we should see massive fireworks in silver. I don't know. See, once it goes below 10%, he doesn't have to tell us what he's doing. So it has been such a long road with my analysis of Warren Buffett, who he was, why he bought 130 million ounces. Because he was like, oh, who buys gold? Nobody buys gold. You buy it and you stick it in the ground. It makes no sense. Completely the opposite of what his father's thoughts were. Howard Buffett, who was a raging gold bug in Congress. I think he was a congressman from Nebraska. Gave a great speech on why we have to have a gold standard. And Buffett absolutely idolized his father. Hated the bankers. 100%, I guarantee you, Buffett's a good guy working behind the scenes, and he knows the killer of the banks. He knows how to destroy the banks. Buy as much silver as possible. And you destroy the banks, you destroy the bad guys. Everything else goes too, but hey, what's the biggest problem in the world today? Debt. Massively. Debt everywhere. Sovereign debt, city debt, local debt, personal debt, corporate debt. Oh my God, corporate debt is insane. Leverage lending. It will all go. That's why you have to have your silver in your own possession. The Bank of America, JP Morgan thing is unwinding. And we see it in the COMEX deliveries too, although it's not the billion ounces. Remember, when JP Morgan got busted for rigging the silver and gold markets, they paid $920 million fine. That same year, they booked a $1 billion gain in their precious metals commodity trading department. So actually, they made $80 million. And that we found that out in the trials of the traders. By the way, Jeff Christian, who always has said, oh, Gatto's full of shit, tinfoil hat people, there's no rigging of the silver market. And then they've gone, like, Jeffrey Christian is a mouthpiece for the banking cabal. Always has been. And not even a good one. Not even a good one. So, yeah, take what he has to say and shove it where the sun don't shine. He did the same thing that Silver Institute did. He barely increased the amount of silver used in solar panels last year when the solar panel industry increased 76%. How is that possible? How can the amount of solar panels installed be increasing 76% and yet the amount of silver only go up 30%? It's called lying. Oh, there's thrifting. There's not thrifting. It's bullshit. They're adding more silver, and everybody knows it. So, yeah, Jeffrey Christian's in bed with the Silver Institute. I mean, talk about two standalone entities. You know, Mike DiRosendo, or whatever that guy's name is, and Jeffrey Christian pretty much run their own companies. Both are spinoffs from the banks. These are the third-party experts. Bullshit. Anyway, so that's really, 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 really interesting. When Buffett, I think he'll get out of this by the end of September, maybe October, probably before the election. And I think it absolutely has to do with what's going on in the silver market. Is he working with the U.S. government to do this behind the scenes? Or the good guys or the Q guys? I don't know. Probably. But it is definitely something Buffett would do and will do and did. And by the way, when he bought Burlington Northern, that was really a commodity play. He was buying the land that they owned or had mineral rights to. Massive amounts of land with railroads. They just own massive amounts of land. Can you imagine? Especially all the land through the Grand Canyon area, Arizona, Colorado. Brilliant move. Corner the market on commodities while buying a railroad company. Yeah. Anyway, that's the crazy stuff. You know, the funny thing is Jenny Moonstone told me and told all the private road members that there was something new coming. The old rig was running out. The new rig, there's something new happening. There's something new happening. She kept saying it over and over. I'm like, what could it be? And then we find out it's the lease of over 1 billion ounces. She's been on it for a very long time. If you follow the Road to Ruta, all of those interviews are posted on the private road at roadtoruta.com. Just posted one yesterday. Timing of false flags and presidential debates. Interesting. Silver's outlook for 2024 and T-Fuel fuse is lit. T-Fuel. Everything's coming up T-Fuel these days. It's kind of like silver versus gold. It's theta versus T-Fuel. The T-Fuel ratio is just as bad as the gold-silver ratio. Maybe not just as bad. Gold-silver ratio is off by about, I would say, gold-silver ratio should get below 3 to 1. I think it'll hit 1 to 1 and probably go flip the other way, 1 to 3. 1 ounce of gold, 1 ounce of silver buys 3 ounces of gold. Bix, that can't be true. It can be true. But historically, it's never been like that. Well, historically, we've never used all the silver and thrown it into all the junk piles of the planet. We've used all the silver up, my friends. Historically, they saved all their silver. And above ground, there's only 1 billion ounces of each, possibly. Sorry, 5 billion ounces of each, possibly. I hear gold is probably 20 million. 20 billion ounces is my guess. Nobody knows how much gold there is. They hide it from you. But there's a hell of a lot. Read Peggy and Sterling Seagrave's book on gold called Gold Warriors, Gold Out of the Philippines. All 100% true. I have the CD-ROMs that have all the backup documentation, the Supreme Court cases, the Iran scandal, the Contra weapons deal. All that had to do with gold, the secret gold pulled out of the Philippines that were stolen from all parts of Asia by the Japanese. Our history that we've been taught is a complete lie. The history of gold and silver is a complete lie. The amount of gold and silver on the planet. I think they have a good idea, but it's not what they tell you. It's not what Jeffrey Christian will tell you, that there's only 200,000 tons of gold has ever been mined. That's bullshit. I mean, just the Yamashita's gold is over probably 500,000 tons. My take, gold in the Grand Canyon, the billions and billions and billions of ounces that they found, it wasn't profitable to mine back then because they set the price of gold at $20. If they set the price of gold at $100, all that gold would have been mined. It's obvious to anybody with half a brain. Anyway, that's where we are. What do you do? What can you do? You can get physical silver, you get it in your own possession, and you hang on to it. And that's all you have to do. No mining companies, they'll all be nationalized, obviously. No ETFs, that's the first place that will be nationalized. Somebody asked me about PSLV. Do I think it's real? I think the metal's there, but what an easy confiscation spot. A big vault with massive amounts of gold and silver in it. Of course, they'll all be confiscated and nationalized because the entire planet, when the unbacked fiat monetary system is gone, the citizens will demand it. They don't give a shit. Mexico, you think Mexico cares about somebody owns stock in a foreign mining company? Hell no. These are the same people, these banking type people who invest in stocks in foreign mining companies. They're the same people that have been ripping us off, and the reason Mexico lost a vast amount of its fortune. About a third of the silver that has been mined out of Mexico and exported. Mexico would be the richest country in the world by far. That's why they're attacking the mining industry right now. They're talking about a ban on open pit mining. Good night. Anyway, it's all happening. Hang on tight. Get your physical silver. Go to your local guy. Get as much physical as you can. Miles Franklin, Is my Miles Franklin hat? It is. Miles Franklin, contact them. Send them an email, info, at milesfranklin.com. Say, hey, what do you got in inventory? Now is not the time to wait around for coins. Ask them what they got in inventory. I personally love the pre-65 coinage. Sometimes it has a high premium, sometimes it doesn't. It's the hardest one to counterfeit. There's different laws in the United States about counterfeiting the money of the United States. You get into counterfeiting laws, not just fraud. With the 100-ounce bars, yeah, you don't know if they're real. Sorry. 100-ounce gold, 100 ounce, and anything bigger than that, you really have no idea. The scratch and sniff test does not work. You're going to have to drill into those bars to see if it's real silver. So keep it low denominations. Obviously, to me, pre-65 coinage is the best. That's what I got for you. This is Bix Weir. Oh, if you want to join the private road, get all those Jenny Moonstone discussions, including the latest one, go to roadtoro.com. Click on subscribe today. We're currently giving away a paper wallet with 10 Theta, 100 T fuel, and 1,000 T drop. Just take that piece of paper, stick it in your safe with your silver, and then you just wait. That's all you have to do. Just wait. The people who took advantage of, I just had a Road-to-Road customer, actually the son of a customer who had passed away, had said, I have these two paper Bitcoin wallets that my dad loved your stuff, but I don't know what to do with them. Are they worth anything? And he had like $5,000, $6,000 worth of Bitcoin there. That's the kind of thing that happens over time. So go check it out, roadtoroota.com.